Good morning and welcome to the video for fourth grade for Monday, January the 4th. Hope you all had a wonderful Christmas break and are looking forward to being back in building in another about week and a half. This is going to carry us over until then. A couple things. I have a few people that are not used to watching these videos on a regular basis. So I'm doing things slightly different. You'll notice that the layout's a little bit different to start with. And then, of course, um, I'm also going to be doing my videos a little bit differently. Some of you got used to me giving answers for the homework and stuff. I'm not going to be doing that this time. We are only going to do three Go Math lessons this week. The other 2 days will be daily math review. And I will be talking through how to do those things. But that's going to be on you. If you have any questions, you can always send me an email. You can send me a message in Google Classroom. And I will hopefully be having individual times that people can come and get one-on-one help virtually over a Zoom or Skype or whatever, Google Meet call to get help with your homework. But I'm not going to be doing the videos for the homework where people can just basically copy down the answers and then turn in their work and have no idea what's going on. We're not doing that this time. So let's go ahead and take a look at what we're working on. We are the only class that is not starting a new chapter, which is fine. We are going to finish working with fractions over the next week and a half. We will hopefully have a good grasp on that, and then we'll spend some time working on some review things to get caught up when we get back in the classroom on that Thursday and Friday of next week. So let's go ahead and take a look at our beginning of the lesson. So we are comparing fractions using benchmarks. So benchmarks are going to be fractions such as 1/2, 1/4, maybe even 1/8, but we're usually talking about working with quarters and halves and maybe thirds. Really simple fractions. We are going to be working with fraction strips. So what I'm going to recommend, I didn't put this on my little notes here um, just to save time because I was going to mention it, have a separate sheet of paper for this. We're going to be drawing lots of pictures, especially in the next couple lessons to figure out our comparisons. So we kind of practice that a little bit before break. We're going to be doing that same kind of thing again now. We are going to compare 5/8 to 1/2. The other thing that I forgot to mention, I will give you prompts to pause the video, but if for any reason I'm going too fast for you, go ahead and pause and rewind the video to hear it a second time before you continue going on. And then, of course, I will give you breaks to go ahead and pause and work on things before you hear me give the answers. Okay, so I'm going to use red and green. So for red, I'm going to do the left-hand side here. I'm just going to kind of lightly shade this in, mostly because it's kind of a pain in the behind to use my mouse. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. It looks like I messed up a little bit, but I've got an eraser. There we go. And so I want to figure out whether I used more space for the 5/8. So we're making 5/8 of a gallon of popcorn compared to a half a gallon of dried apple rings. Okay. Okay. I guess that's these combining both of those things. So we want to figure out which thing he used more of. And it looks like it should be the green one because we went farther than what we did on the 1/2. So our greater than symbol is going to open to the larger number, which is on the left this time. And so in this case, he used more popcorn. So I'm just going to kind of circle and bring that down this way. They want us to go ahead and write 5 fractions that are equivalent to 1/2. So we practice this a lot before break. So if you forget, let me give you one example of what we can do. And so we can go ahead and actually I'll give you 2 examples. So the first one is making a picture. So if I want to go ahead and make my picture, and so I am going to be counting this left-hand side. So to find an equivalent fraction, I could add more parts to the shape evenly. So we practice this by going this direction. We might also make more lines from top to bottom. But if you do that, make sure that you shade it in first. So I'm going to shade this part in green. And then if I go ahead and start making additional lines and from top to bottom, I can keep track more easily of what my number of parts that I should be counting is. It should be easy enough to figure out what the denominator is, which is the bottom number, which is the number of total parts in the shape. So I want you to do 5 of those. And then we want to figure out how many 8s are equivalent to 1/2. So hint, if you go ahead and do this part for number 1, that should give you a good starting point to figure out the answer to that. And then we can also use our fraction strip up here to help us find the answer to number 2. And then number 3, how can you compare 5/8 and 1/2 without using a model? So we are actually going to use kind of logic or reasoning to figure that part out. So I am going to go ahead and tell you to pause the video, work on those 3 problems, and when you're ready, go ahead and hit play again. All right, so assuming that you did that, I am going to use my picture. So I'm going to start by doing this. And so this is going to give me 2 parts out of 4. If I go ahead and go across this way, that's going to give me 4 parts out of 8. And oh, I forgot to tell you, I forgot to mention that I was doing the other thing. So let me draw this out here to the side. So what we can do is we can do 1 over 2 times, oops, I did that slightly differently. The way that I showed you guys was doing a long one like this, and then we put our times sign. And then we put our number that we want to multiply the top and bottom by, and then that gives us our new thing. So let's go ahead and say, I've already multiplied by 2, I've already multiplied by 4. Let's do 3. So that would give us 3 parts over 6. If I did go from 4 up to 5, we would get 5 parts over 10. And then we could get 6 parts over 12. So we could also do a lot of other different things with that. How many 8s are equivalent to 1/2? So if we go up here, we can count 1, 2, 3, 4 8s. And then how can we compare without using model? I'm not going to write this in, but I will explain it. So one of the things that we can do, and this is why we want to use benchmarks, 1/2 is a really good benchmark. I can figure out if something is larger or smaller than a half by figuring out what half of that number would be. So in this case, we're working with 8 parts. Half of that is going to be 4. So if I have 5/8, I'm already working, I could probably zoom in a little bit more, sorry. 5/8 is going to be larger than 1/2. If I only had 3/8, I'm not all the way up to 4 parts out of 8, so it's going to be smaller than 1/2. So I can go ahead and compare to that benchmark by using that kind of thing. And we will use that a lot, especially the benchmark working with 1/2. As we go forward through the lessons for this year, as well as what we will be doing in 5th and 6th grade. So let's go ahead and look at our next page. If I tell you to turn the page, I may be doing a page turn on my screen, but you may be just looking at the right-hand page of your book. So hopefully I don't confuse anybody with that. So we are going to use a benchmark. So it's a known size or amount that helps us understand a different size or amount. So like I mentioned, we can use 1/2 as our point of comparison. So if we want to compare 5/12 to 1/2, we could go ahead and look right here. They would want us to go ahead and put a dot on the number line, and they would want us to go ahead and shade in. So what you're going to see down here is that the spaces are not going to line up evenly. Well, I mean, they will line up evenly, but the part is the line in between them is going to line up where the number line is. For some reason, that's confused people in the past. Maybe it's because I didn't explain it very well. So if I wanted to go ahead and shade this in, Here would be my first part I would shade in, then my second, then my third, and of course that ends right here on this line here with 3/12, then 4, and then 5. And so if I want to compare that to 1/2, it looks like it's going to be smaller by 1 part. Go ahead and do the second one, which is going to be comparing 9/10 to 1/2. So go ahead and try that one on your own. I'm going to talk about the answer to both of these parts down here after we do this. So go ahead and do this part. And assuming that you're ready, we would put our dot on the number line right here, and we are comparing to 1/2, and then we would fill all the way in, oops, up to here. There we go. And so we want to figure out which one of these two is larger. So 5/12 is going to be less than 1/2. 9/10 is going to be greater than 1/2. And so 5/12 is going to be less than 9/10. And so let's see, it looks like they hiked farther before lunch. No, wait, sorry. Oh, sorry, Jill. Jill and Mother hiked farther. Let's see, we've already talked about how we can do number 4 and 5 here. So let's go ahead and switch to our next page. And we are going to be looking at share and shows. So we have our fraction strip and kind of line graph here to help us. So go ahead and take a look at number 1. There are 2 different parts to this. So we have a left-hand part and a right-hand part, and we're going to use those to compare 2 different fractions that do not have the same denominator. So go ahead and pause if you need to. All right, so assuming that you did that, our first part, we are going to be going to 2/5 here, which would look like this. And then we are comparing to 1/8, which is going to look like this. So I can go ahead and tell by looking that this part is really close to 1/2, and this part is not nearly as close to 1/2. Now, of course, we're counting a different amount of times between 0 and 1 for both of these. But looking at our benchmarks, it does look like that the left-hand side is much closer to 1/2, whereas the right-hand side is very close to 0 and not very close to 1/2. So the 5th side would be greater than 1/8. Next, oops. Get the page to move here. All right, so now is the part where you might want a piece of paper. So I am going to explain what I would do to find the answer without drawing a picture. But you can go ahead and draw a picture. So number 2, we are comparing 1/2. We want to figure out what half of 6 is. So think about what that number is. If I did 6 divided by 2, what answer would I get? That is going to be the number of parts out of 6 that would be equal to 1/2. So if we have 4 out of 6, we have a little bit more than 1/2, which means my right-hand side is going to be larger, and I'm going to use the less than symbol. Okay. For number 3, I would figure out what half of 10 is. If my if my top number is smaller than that number, then it's going to be less than 1/2. Number 4, the 4/8 side is going to be equal to 1/2. And on number 5, you're probably going to want to use a picture, but hint, you already have a picture. So number 5 can use the picture that we had for number 1. We just need to fill in 5 of the 8 parts, and then we are comparing it to 2/5. Okay, so go ahead and do those three. So 3, 4, and 5. Pause the video if you need to, and when you're ready, go ahead and hit play. All right. So let's go ahead and take a look at our answers. So half of 10 would be 5. This is going to be smaller than that. So 3/10 is going to be less than 1/2. This one is going to be greater than 1/2. So this side would be equal to 1/2. 6 parts out of 12 would be exactly 1/2. We are counting 11 parts. So that would be greater than. And then this last one, if I go ahead and take this part and go ahead and keep shading it in, I'm going to make it all the way out to here, which is going to be to the right hand or greater than 1/2. The 2/5 side is still less than 1/2. And so this one would be greater than. All right, so we are going to do these last few problems here, and then I will talk you through the homework. So it looks like I'm about right on time for what I'm wanting. I'm hoping the video will be right about 20 minutes to make sure that we get through as many things as we can. So number 6, we can do the same trick to figure out which side is greater than the other by finding half of 8 and half of 10. So for instance, number 6, half of 8 is going to give us 4. So 3/8 is going to be less than 1/2. So this part is smaller than 1/2. 5 out of 10 would be exactly 1/2. This side is going to be larger than 1/2. So that would give us greater than, because this side is bigger than 1/2, this side is smaller than 1/2. We can do the same thing for this one. Now, for this one, to get exactly 1/2, I would have 1.5 out of 3. There will be a day, many years from now, that you will be allowed to do this. But we're not going to worry about it except for getting a comparison. So this side is going to be smaller than 1/2. Think about what the answer for this side would be. Go ahead and find your comparison. For this one, we can do the same trick, figure out what half of 6 is and half of 8 is to figure out which side is smaller than 1/2 and which side is larger. And then it looks like this one's exactly 1/2. And so how does 2/10 compare to that? So go ahead and find these last 3 answers. Pause the video if you need to. And when you're ready, hit play. And I'm going to get a drink of water. All right, so this is really close to 1/2, but it's not. This is going to be larger than 1/2 by a little bit. So 6 out of 12 would give us 1/2. So this side's going to be bigger. So if we're writing the symbol, it would be 1/3 is less than 7/12. This one is also going to be less than, and then this one is going to be greater than. Excuse me, because we would need 5 parts out of 10 for this one. We would need 3 parts out of 6 to be equal. If we had 4 parts out of 6, then we would have to do something slightly different, but this one would still be bigger. All right, so number 10, we wanted to figure out a number that is going to be greater than 1/2. So think of what half of 6 is, and then we can pick any number we want, any number bigger than the number that's half of 6, and you win. For this one, we could go ahead and write a number that is, well, this one's a little bit different. So I'm going to give you a hint on this one. You are probably going to want to pick a really small number just to make sure that you definitely have the right answer. There's a trick that you might end up falling into on accident. Let's say I'm 2 parts away. If I do 7, then it's probably not going to work. 6 might work, but you may want to pick a smaller number for that. We want this side to be larger than this side. So again, smaller number is going to work. And then on this one, a larger number that is more or equal to half of 10 might work for that. So go ahead and figure out what your numbers are going to be. Pause the video if you need to. And so for this one, I can pick any number. So I am going to pick 6 parts out of 6, which is definitely going to be larger than 1/2. For this one, I'm just going to pick a 1. For this one, I'm going to pick a 1. And for this one, I will pick a 9. So you could actually pick a number that's larger than the denominator, and for this one or this one, and still have a technically correct answer. Let's look at our homework real quick. So I'm going to skip over this page. I thought about doing this part here, but because time's kind of getting away from me a little bit, I want to look at the homework. So we are going to be doing number 2 through 14 on the front. So guess what? That's pretty much everything, oops, except for the very bottom question on the front. So we have some pictures that we've made. We can use our strategy for figuring out what half of a number is to figure out if it's going to be larger than our benchmark of 1/2 to do our comparisons. And we could also draw a picture if we need to. So those are the problems for that. On the back, 1 and 2 are going to be relatively easy. Number 2, though, they want to write a fraction that's smaller than 1. So this is going to be one of those, like, we can't put a 6 on the bottom and then write like 12 on top. So this part less than 1, we have to have something that's going to be less than 6 parts over 6. Okay, so that's what it's got to be smaller than this, but it's got to be greater than 3/4. So that might give you a hint for your number, but we can't write a super large number on the top and have the correct answer for this one like we could on the previous page that we looked at. Okay, so it's got to be smaller than 6 parts over 6, but larger than 3/4. So if you go a little bit smaller than that, you're probably going to have it. Okay, so number 3, we are going to do 48 tiles in each of 8 rows. Each row will have 6 white tiles. Really? Really? Skip number 3. That's ridiculous. Yeah, we're doing 48 tiles in each row. So what you would end up having to do is do like 42 times 8, which is kind of silly. And if you think that this is the number of tiles we're using total, then that gets a little bit messy. Number 4, we're doing 36 and 4. 36 students and 4 adults, and there are 6 buses, so you can do that one relatively easily. And then 72 in groups of 6, it looks like. And we want to figure out how many rows if we do rows of 6 and count it to 72. And then number 6, we want to figure out which ones of these numbers are composite numbers. So composite numbers are a number that we can use a divisibility rule with. So we can divide it by either 2 or 3 or 5 or 7 or some other prime number. So prime numbers we can only divide by 1 and the number itself. Composite numbers we can divide by other numbers. So which ones of these can we do that with? Divide by a number that isn't the number itself and 1. Okay, so that concludes what I want to go over with you for today. Our homework for tomorrow, we'll have another video. We'll be talking through our daily math. We'll be doing top and bottom page for that. So hope you have a great day. Look forward to seeing you again in person or online. Send me a message if you have any questions. And until then, I will see you tomorrow.